Welcome to Shor Machshava on the Daf. We're holding in Menachos Daf Yud. The Gemara in the middle of Amud Aleph explains the reason we have multiple words that were mentioned in Parshah Mizrachi again. Once we spoke about Mizrachi Ani, even though these words do not darshan anything, is because of the concept of Kol Parshah Shenemru V'Nishnes. Any Parshah that was said twice, Lo Nishnes El B'Shil Dover She'Nischadesh Bo. Meaning, if the Torah went and wrote another Parsha, and that Parsha had more details that the first Parsha did not have, so again, the second Parsha, many things from the first Parsha were repeated again. This repetition doesn't add anything, but because we have something in the Parsha which is new, so that's to repeat other things. That's by here, we have another Parsha of Ani. Once you speak about him, Mizrachi Ashir, we have to say Mizrachi Ani can bring a different carbon, and you merely repeat all the details already mentioned in by Mizrachi Ashir. Now, in this concept, there's a big shiloh of Rabbi Mizrachi. Rabbi Mizrachi is the first mefarish on Rashi. There's several svarim that were written to explain Rashi and Chumash. The first one was Rabbi Mizrachi, the Re'em. Rashi, in the beginning of Parshas Behar, says, Ma inyan Shemitah etzel Har Sinai. Why it says Shemitah and it says Behar Sinai? To tell you the same way Shemitah, all the klolos and pratos were mentioned in Sinai. All the details were mentioned in Sinai. So also all the Kol Torah Kulo, the klolos and the pratos, all the rules and the details were all mentioned in Sinai. So Rabbi Mizrachi has several questions on Rashi. One of the questions he asks, if Kol Torah, the klolos and pratos were all mentioned in Sinai, so what does it mean? The Kol Parshah Shenemru V'Nishnes, you say a Parsha again, Lo Nemru El Shel Dover She'Nischadesh Bo. Meaning, the justification to have another Parsha in the Torah is because I'm going to tell you something new that I didn't tell you before. That's why I write the whole Parsha. But if in Sinai everything was already mentioned, so there's no chidushim that need to be said. So when you say another Parsha, what am I adding that I did not have already originally? And that seems to be a bomba kasha of the Ram. If I have everything written with all the klolim and the pratim in Sinai, the next time the Parsha is written, what is the Torah adding? So Rabbi Mizrachi answers in short. There's a sefer called Zekuso de Avrom, who refers to this Rabbi Mizrachi. He doesn't like, he says, I don't like the answer of the Ram, but he seems to say the exact same answer. He maybe understood it differently. But what Zekuso de Avrom connects is the Gemara that we learned in the end of Masechet Zvachim. The Gemara in Daf Kuftes Vav and Beis in Zvachim brings the Machlekes. How was the Torah given? So Rabbi Shmuel says, Klolos Nemu B'Sinai, Pratos Boil Moyed, meaning the rules were said in Sinai without the details. The details were said later. Rabbi Kiva holds that Klolos of Pratos Nemu B'Sinai V'Nishne Boil Moyed V'Nishtalshu B'Arvus Moyev. And I am a Sefer Yisbach Moish in Parsh Behar. And he says, before we went into and looked at all Shas, you would say maybe this Nekudo, the Kol Parshah Shenemru V'Nishnes, Lo Nemru El B'Shel Dover She'Nischadesh Bo, this goes only according to Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel holds that only klolos nemru b'Sinai without the pratim. So Rabbi Shmuel l'shitasoi, the time of the Rabbi Shmuel is the same one, because he holds the details were not said in Sinai. So he says sometimes the Torah will give you the details later. So he made it called Parsha Shenemru V'Nishnes. When I have another Parsha, Lo Nemru Shel Dover She'Nischadesh Bo. But according to Rabbi Kiva, that in Sinai everything was said, so he will not agree with his cloud of called Parsha Shenemru V'Nishnes. It was said for the That's why maybe you could have said, says the Yisach Moshe. But the Yisach Moshe says if you look at the Gemara and Shavuos, it's clear that Rabbi Kiva also agrees with this klal. Meaning even though he holds that Klolim and Pratim Nemru B'Sinai, he still says that sometimes the Parsha is Nishtes Shel Dover She'Nischadesh Bo. And that's what the Zekuso de Avrom, when he brings the Gemara in Zvachim, wants to say that the rule that Rashi says at the beginning of Parshas Behar works according to everyone. Even according to Rabbi Kiva, and even with him, you'll be able to say that Parsha Shenishtes was said for Shel Dover She'Nischadesh Bo. So how do we understand this? So here we go back to the answer of Yom Mizrachi. Yom Mizrachi tells us that of course everything was said in Sinai, because Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu Kol Torah Kulo, the Klolim and the Pratim. We can add what's brought down in Chazal, that anything that Talmud is going to be Mechadesh throughout all the generations were said to Moshe in Sinai. Everything was revealed to him. But not everything was written in the Torah immediately. And this is how I explain Rabbi Akiva. That's what Zakusa Davron connects this to the sheet of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva holds a klolus of protos named Rabbi Sinai. Everything was said in Sinai. But not everything was written in Sinai. Things were given a little bit later. When the Torah writes something later, then you could say that Parshah, Shenemov, and Nishnes, when a Parshah was said again, well, there was a Chiddush over here that was now written before, even though it was said before to Moshe Rabbeinu. And I in the Ramban in the beginning of Parshas Behar, that he there comes to argue in Rashi on a detail how Rashi understands this Medrash of Torah Kohanim that says Ma'inyan Shemitah B'Har Sinai. But it seems that he says the exact same Nekuda. Because after he goes and explains the Torah Kohanim, he ends of an Inyan Arvus Moyav Shnitztavish Moshe Levayer HaTorah Labonim. Moshe Rabbeinu already knew Kol Torah Kulo Misinai, but he was giving and teaching it to Am Yisrael and writing in the Torah throughout the years of the Midbar. So to summarize, the Torah was given all to Moshe already in Sinai. It wasn't written immediately, and that's the different parshas that we have in the Torah as the Gemara refers to in this daf. Anyone who wants to join and sponsor the Shor Machshava Shiurim, please email shormachshava@gmail.com.